Okay, so my speech is about the effects of the excessive amount of cell phone usage. Did you know that majority of people in society prefer communicating over the phone than in person? Hold on one second. Hello? Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, yeah, statistically, 75% of millennials prefer texting over talking. Outrageous, if you ask me. Why would people not want to see each other? In fact, in the US is ranked fourth in the world in terms of cell phone usage. With this of cell phone, we do not really realize the effects it has on us. For example, when people are using their cell phone while driving, we statistically rose from having no accident to 75%, according to drive tests. So next time you get a text or a call, wait until you get to your destination. I mean, people can wait for the call or text, right? I don't think so. Wait un- Research studies from the University of Washington have said that 9 out of 10 people expect a reply within 5 minutes. People must realize that you're not always going to get a response ASAP. Maybe the person is busy or most importantly, driving. We have all been victims of this. I am sure your significant other or family member does it to you, but you can also let them know because it can cause you to stress out. Stressing out is another factor of effects of cell phone usage. The average person spends about 3 hours a day using their phone, which is ridiculous. The first thing people do when they wake up is check their phone. You think that it is good for your health consistently looking at it throughout the day? I mean, it hurts your eyes constantly squinting or seeing the brightness of all that light throughout the day. I mean, that is nothing what we do on the computer or watching TV. Maybe put the cell phone aside and try doing something else. Thank you. So who's next?
Just to say, I was timing it just to check, because I think it's on our rubric. It was about
Yeah.
like 2 minutes or like 1:58, or that's the time.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
No, I appreciate the feedback, especially since for the final one I have to like make it longer. So
I have a question. Can you guys see that I'm like lagging?
yeah, she is lagging.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I think it's because my internet, it's like turning off and on, and so I'm using my data. So I think I'm gonna have to turn off my camera and explain it to her.
Okay. Does anyone want to go next?
Or let me turn off my camera.
Okay, I can go next. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Alrighty, so hello, my name is Jasmine, and my speech is about the importance of hypertension. Now, my specific purpose for this speech is to inform the class on hypertension. Now, hypertension is the #1 risk factor for death globally, affecting more than 1 billion people, according to the World Heart Federation. Now, in today's speech, I will be informing you on hypertension, the complications that result from untreated hypertension, and just managing it. So, first of all, hypertension usually has no warning signs or symptoms, which can often lead to most people not knowing that they have it. And I just wanted to know if anyone here has been affected by hypertension, or if they know someone who has been affected by hypertension by any chance. No? Okay, well, unfortunately, it is very common, especially here in the US. Now, first, what is hypertension? So high blood pressure, also referred to as hypertension, is when your blood pressure, which is the force of blood flowing through your blood vessels, it's consistently just too high. So that's basically what high blood pressure is when the pressure in your blood vessels and your arteries are just too high. Now, the heart pumps, what I'm just going to kind of explain it to you. So what the heart does is that it pumps blood through the major blood vessels so that they can basically transport that blood to the rest of the blood vessels throughout the body. Now, blood vessels include veins and arteries. So arteries carry oxygen-rich blood away from the heart, so towards all of the rest of the body. And veins basically carry deoxygenated blood back towards the heart. And so blood pressure is basically determined by the amount of blood that the heart is pumping and the amount of blood flow resistance in those arteries. Now, the higher the blood pressure pretty much means that your heart is working a lot harder. So high blood pressure can lead to a lot of stress onto the heart, which is one reason why it can lead to a lot of heart disease. Now that we've went over what hypertension is, we're going to go over the complications that result from hypertension, specifically untreated hypertension. So hypertension can lead to severe health complications and increase your risk for several serious, potentially life-threatening conditions. So high blood pressure can seriously damage some organs, specifically the brain, the eyes, the kidneys, and the heart. And a few of the serious health complications that can occur from hypertension are going to be heart attacks, stroke, heart disease, kidney disease, and even vision loss. So uncontrolled high blood pressure raises the risk for heart disease and stroke, which are both the leading causes of death here in the United States. And that is according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Now, most of the time, as I mentioned earlier, hypertension has no warning signs or symptoms. So this does result in the condition being referred to as a silent killer, because about 1 in 3 US adults with high blood pressure, they aren't even aware that they have it. So with that being said, they're not being treated to control that high blood pressure that they have. So now that we've reviewed the different complications resulting from hypertension, we're going to take a look at managing it and what we can do to manage it. Okay, so hypertension is rather easy to manage through lifestyle changes and receiving treatment. Now, first, I'm just going to go over a few lifestyle changes. First of all, that does include just having a healthy diet. So, pretty much having your vegetables and your fruits. And not only do you want fruits and vegetables in your diet, you're also going to want to have dairy. You're going to want to have some protein and grains. So basically those 5 food groups, you want to make sure you incorporate it into your meals every day. If you need any necessary specific dietary changes, definitely speak with your doctor or dietitian. And okay, so a healthy diet, maintaining a healthy weight. A healthy weight is going to be different from person to person. So I definitely would, maybe say to maintain a healthy weight, speak with a doctor is how someone can achieve that. Avoid smoking and drinking alcohol. And also just managing hypertension is regular physical activity. I know regular physical activity is recommended about 2.5 hours a week. That can be broken down to about 5 days a week, 30 minutes a day. Moderate exercise, maybe going on a jog, fast walks, playing a sport, exercise classes. Now, apart from regular physical activity, you're going to want to manage your stress. So everyone can manage stress differently. Personally, with me, something that helps me a lot with managing my stress is lighting a candle. I always need a candle in every room just to help with clearing my mind and just soothing my mental state overall. So those are a few lifestyle changes that one can do just to manage that hypertension. And so now I'm going to go over treatment options. So with treatment, that does include taking medication regularly as instructed by a provider, and also measuring blood pressure regularly. I feel like that is very important. So measuring blood pressure regularly is necessary in keeping track of the different blood pressure levels we experience throughout the day. Blood pressure is not going to be the same throughout the day. Different times of the day may be high and it may be low. So the way someone can measure their blood pressure is going to be through a blood pressure monitor. I do have a photo of one here on my iPad. So this is what a blood pressure monitor kind of looks like. It goes on the arm, and then you just see like the rest of the machine right there. I know you can't see it too well, but That's what a blood pressure monitor looks like. And these monitors can be provided by a physician, or they can be purchased at a drugstore, specifically like in the pharmacy department. So blood pressure is typically represented by two numbers. So the top number is going to be called the systolic or systole. So that's a systolic blood pressure, that first number, and that's going to be the measurement of the force in your arteries as the heart is pumping that blood. So now we have the bottom number. The bottom number is called the diastolic blood pressure, or also referred to as diastole. And that is the measurement of the force in the arteries as the heart is relaxing or as it's refilling with blood again. Now, a normal blood pressure reading is going to be about like 120/80. Anything above that is going to be considered, high blood pressure, hypertension. So there are a few different types of hypertension. There's like there's hypertension stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 is anything above 130/80. Hypertension stage 2 is going to be 140/90. And now a crisis, which is a hypertensive crisis when a doctor is needed to be called immediately, is going to be anything over 180/120. That's when you definitely need to contact a doctor. Now, just to finish off my speech here, as you can see today, we've discussed everything regarding hypertension. We've discussed complications associated with hypertension, managing it, what is hypertension? And again, hypertension is a condition when the blood pressure is consistently too high, which can cause a lot of organ damage and lead to health complications. And just one little statistic left here is about over 1 billion people around the world have hypertension, but fewer than 1 in 5 have it under control, according to the World Heart Federation. So just to know, hypertension can be relatively easy to manage through lifestyle changes and regular treatment. Thank you.
I can go next.
If you wanted your time, it was 8 minutes and 27 seconds. So it was
okay.
it was like
What
is this?
long.
5 to 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, do you guys think, like, if I show the image like that's okay? Because I don't think I'll be able to share and talk at the same time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So for my speech, I chose to talk about why is sleeping so important. And did you know that we are the only mammals that delay sleep? Keep in mind that people need different amounts of hours to sleep to maintain a healthy sleep schedule. I can personally testify that I delay or skip many hours of my sleep because of school, a case I think most of us can relate. So to all of this, why is sleeping so important? Sleep plays a vital role in our health and a well-being through your life. The way you feel while you're awake depends in a part of what happens while you're sleeping. During sleep, your body is working to support healthy brain function and maintain your physical health. Why is sleeping a complex and dynamic process that affects how you function in ways that scientists are now beginning to understand? Good sleep improves your brain performance, mood, and health. Not getting enough sleep can actually regularly raise the risk of many diseases and disorders that can go from heart disease to strokes and obesity and dementia. Actually, clusters of sleep-promoting neurons in many parts of the brain become more active as we get ready for bed. Nerve signaling chemicals called neurotransmitters can switch off or dampen the activity of cells that signal arousal of relaxation. And it's well known that certain substances, such as caffeine, can affect the onset sleeping in a negative way. On the other hand, there's evidence that how other foods like tart cherries, kiwi, fatty fish like salmon and tuna, malted milk may have actual benefits on sleep. There are recent studies that show healthy dietary patterns overall, but not just for specific foods that could be associated with the longer term of your sleep. So why do we actually need to sleep? Without sleep, you can't form or maintain pathways in your brain that allows us to learn and create memories, creating difficulty to concentrate and respond quickly. Research shows that a chronic lack of sleep or getting poor quality of sleep increases the risk of disorders including cardiovascular disease, diabetes, depression, and obesity. There are two main processes that regulate sleep: circadian rhythms and sleep drive. Circadian rhythms are controlled by a biological clock located in the brain. One key function of this clock is responding to light cues, ramping up the production of hormone melatonin at night. Sleep deprived also plays a key role. Your body craves sleep, much like hungers for food throughout the day. Your desire for sleep builds, and when it reaches a certain point, you need to sleep. In recent studies, they found that irregular sleeping patterns, including catch-up sleep, can negatively affect the body metabolism. But does sleep affect us on a daily basis? Sleep and mental health actually go in hand. Good sleep is essential for maintaining our baseline of mental health, as one night's sleep deprivation can dramatically affect the mood for the next day. Sleep is actually really essential to every process in the body, affecting our physical and mental functioning the next day, our ability to fight diseases and develop immunity, and our metabolism and chronic disease are at risk when we lack our sleep. At the beginning of my speech, I mentioned that many of us struggle to find a stable sleep schedule, and after going through the disadvantages and advantages, while clarifying the danger behind not prioritizing our sleep, it's really bad. So I hope you actually find this information useful. Sleep is truly interdisciplinary because it touches every aspect of our health. Thank you.
I can go next.
Okay.
Okay. And then just so you guys know, just to warn you all, I will be sharing my screen at some points for my visuals. Okay. Okay, let's be real. On a scale of 1 to 10, how stressed are you all to be presenting today? Now, feeling stressed isn't always a great feeling, but it is often essential for our survival in the world. Stress helps us prioritize the things that we care about, like the speech, and feeling stress in an acute manner isn't always a bad thing. However, feeling stress on a chronic level is where it can negatively affect our health and well-being and our quality of life. So today, I will be informing you all about the direct physiological consequences resulting from chronic stress. Now, going back to my earlier question, me personally, I'm at a level 9. But what if I told you that your stress can affect your immune system and other systems in your body? So today, I will be discussing how stress can elevate your blood pressure, decrease your immune system, and potentially cause you to develop other chronic diseases such as diabetes. So first, we'll talk about how stress can elevate one's blood pressure. I know we kind of talked about it earlier in the night, but as a basic review, we'll go over some basic physiology of blood pressure again. So blood pressure essentially is the force of blood against the walls of the blood vessels. And now I will show a diagram of what that normally is supposed to look like. So as you all can see, this is basically what a normal blood vessel is supposed to look like. In a normal blood vessel, the blood vessel is wide enough for the blood to kind of flow through your veins and your arteries, which are all scattered throughout your body. However, in high blood pressure, that blood vessel is constricted, so there's less room for the blood to flow through, thus increasing the amount of pressure in the blood vessel, which leads, obviously, for it to be called high blood pressure. So high blood pressure can be very negative to your health, and this is can be caused by stress because it can lead to diseases such as hypertension. And hypertension can ultimately damage arteries over time, making them less elastic and decreasing the amount of flow of blood and oxygen to the heart, which can ultimately also lead to diseases such as heart disease. Now, stress doesn't also only impact blood pressure. It can also impact your immune functioning as well. So stress can also contribute to decreased immune functioning by both overstimulating it and slowing it down, which may seem like a paradox, but it comes to show how your immune system will literally do anything to protect yourself. So stress can overstimulate your immune system by making it work too hard. And now I'll show my second diagram, which will depict how stress can, the different ways that stress can affect your body. As you can see here, it shows both short-term stress and long-term stress. However, I will be focusing on the pathway talking about chronic or long-term stress. So long-term stress can increase the activation of your immune system, which increases the type 2 cytokine-driven responses and ultimately increase your likeliness to develop an autoimmune disease. Now, type 2 cytokines are an important part of the immune system as they provide immunity against a variety of pathogens, viruses, and bacteria. And as mentioned earlier, too much of this equals a greater likeliness for an autoimmune disease, which is a disease in which the body's immune system attacks healthy cells and ultimately gets rid of the healthy cells in your body. Stress can also slow down your immune system response. This is seen in a study by Cohen and others in 1991, where after they exposed people to the common cold, they got a variety of subjects where they had a group of healthy people. They asked them to rate their stress. So they had not as stressed people versus very, very stressed people. And they found that the greater amount of stress that people were experiencing, the greater likelihood that they were to catch a cold. So basically, to kind of simplify the study, if you have person A that experiences a lot of stress, has a lot of stressful events going on in their life, and person B who is always relaxed, isn't really going through anything at all, person A is more likely to catch a cold just based off the fact that their immune system isn't functioning as well because of all the stress that they're undergoing. So finally, stress has been linked to the onset of other chronic diseases such as diabetes. Stress can contribute to the development of diabetes, and it's important to note that stress alone doesn't cause diabetes. Stress actually triggers other bodily systems that may contribute to the development of diabetes, such as the one that I mentioned earlier, hypertension. And negative stress is associated with deteriorated glycemic control, which is really important in one trying to control their diabetes as it's related to the intake of glucose. So today, we reviewed some physiological effects of stress, including how it elevates one's blood pressure, decreases one's immune system, and how it contributes to the development of other chronic diseases such as diabetes. So ultimately, the effects of chronic long-term stress can impact other bodily systems and ultimately change your quality of life if left unmitigated. Thank you.
Is it fine or is the like the light too bright, like on my face? That's fine. Okay. Hello, everybody. My speech will be on obesity. So, obesity, everyone knows about it and everyone knows it's present everywhere. But how many of you actually looked into it? I would like to inform you all about the widespread obesity pandemic sweeping over America and the correlated health problems associated with this ever-growing trend. So, first of all, let's define what obesity is. Obesity is a bodily disorder in which the accumulation of excess body fat increases the likelihood of health-related problems. The body mass index, or BMI for short, is often checked when testing for obesity. This formula calculates a person's body fat while accounting for gender, height, and weight. Know that everybody is different though, and several other factors influence BMI, like someone's muscle mass and bone density. But according to the CDC, or the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, these are some general guidelines to follow. As you can see, a BMI of 18.5 is considered underweight. A normal range for a healthy person is 18.5 to 24.9%, and you are considered overweight if you're in the 25 to 29.9% range. But if you go above that into the 30s to 34.9, it is considered obese, and anything above that is considered extremely obese. And there are a litany of health-related problems associated with this. So I would like to explore some key statistics regarding obesity in America. According to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey conducted by the CDC, from 2017 to March 2020, 41.9% of Americans were obese. To put that in perspective, that's basically 42 out of 100 people. That means almost nearly half of them were obese, or people in America. In addition, from 1999 through 2000 and through 2017 through March 2020, the prevalence of obesity increased from 30.5% to 41.9%, and severe obesity increased from 4.7% to 9.2%. I will now show you some graphs that illustrate this point. So from 1999 to 2017 to 2018, you can see a steady increase in obesity in all males, all people in the United States. It's a slow but steady climb, and it shows a positive correlation between the years and obesity rates. And below that is severe obesity, which is classified as above 35%. And this is a heat map of the United States of America. You can see there's only one state that is in the 20 to 25% range, which is DC, and everything else is between 25 to 30 to 30 to 35 and above. So a vast majority of America has, like, nearly half of people in America are obese. And then now that we know that a large portion of people in the United States are obese, let's talk about the possible ramifications that come with obesity. Being obese significantly increases your propensity of developing a slew of preventable health ailments. According to the World Health Organization, these include cardiovascular diseases, heart disease and stroke, diabetes, and some form of cancers. Those are a list of the more serious health conditions that may come with obesity. But being obese can greatly affect your quality of life as well. You may be unable to do the physical activities, or your quality of life or the quality of your sleep may be affected. And it can even affect the mental side of things. So in conclusion, obesity is far-reaching and a widespread pandemic plaguing America. And according to statistical data over the years, it is an ever-growing trend in today's world. Obesity increases the likelihood of debilitating and deadly diseases and is one of the leading causes of preventable death in the United States, only second to smoking. The estimated number of deaths attributed to obesity is 300,000 people per year. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go next. Let me just get set up here. Okay. So, my name is Amber, and today I'm gonna talk to you guys about disparities of healthcare within the United States. So my purpose here today is to inform everyone about the disparities in our system as they relate to religion, sexuality, and ethnicity. So not all men are created equal. This used to be the predominant sentiment for decades since the creation of the United States. Our foundations are built upon the backs of others and based on beliefs, outdated beliefs about race and sex. These biases still persist to this day, even in the field of medicine, where people are reduced to their biology. Medicine and the fundamentals of healthcare industry are rooted in racism, sexism, and religious intolerance, limiting the quality of care all patients are deserving of. People need to be aware of these disparities and subtle biases in healthcare that affects them and others. What are some pressing issues that we should be concerned about? How in 2023 do these problems affect people? What can we do about it if we're not involved in healthcare? The first point I'll touch upon is the religious biases and the barriers faced by religious minorities. Some of these barriers include cultural assimilation, language barriers, and an unwelcoming environment perpetuated by culturally insensitive staff within the healthcare system. Another issue that seems to be prevalent within the healthcare system is the Christian majority pushing their beliefs onto others. There are many hospitals within the United States that are operated under a Catholic faith, Christian faith, and a study published in 2016 found that many of these hospitals prohibit and limit many aspects of reproductive health care. And when interviewed, doctors have described complications relating to pregnancy and other serious health issues that have occurred in these Catholic-run institutions that have not occurred in other such institutions. My next point is discrimination based on sexuality. So people of the LGBTQ group often face intolerance and are subject to harassment. And a study conducted in 2019 found that 57% of individuals interviewed had been called a slur and 51% had been sexually harassed by their healthcare provider, which does not make for a welcoming environment. My last point is focused on discrimination based on ethnicity. So a problem that we face today, especially in our country, is that many ethnic minorities are segregated into communities that are in underserved and uninsured areas. And this means that underserved is that they are underdeveloped and there are very few healthcare facilities within these areas. And the few healthcare facilities that are present in these areas typically only offer, or they operate off of private insurance. And many ethnic minorities living in these areas do not have the financial means to meet the cost of private insurance, or they're often uninsured. And this leaves them little choice into where they can access quality healthcare, but also it leaves them with no other choice other than to not receive care or to pay an exorbitant fee to receive care. So while we've come a long way in terms of equaling the playing field, this country still has its fair share of problems yet to be tackled. Our healthcare systems are still very much outdated and discriminatory. If we're not being discriminated against, we must advocate for those who are. It is imperative to our own well-being, as well as the well-being of those you care for, that we make healthcare in our country more accessible for all. Thank you.